Jonathan Gilliam is a former FBI special agent with the Joint Terrorism Task Force. He's also a former Navy SEAL and Federal Air Marshal. Always good to have you.
It's always good to be here.
I want to start with, you've been to the official residence of the Vice President. Tell me about it.
Well, it's similar in nature to the White House, where it's set off. It's got a guarded area. It's close to the Naval Observatory, so you're not just going to get up there and access that area. It's pretty well closed off and protected.
And this was different.
This is different because this is a private residence. But even so, what I'm starting to see is a failure again and again with Secret Service to forward think these things and stop the people from accessing it before it even happens.
All right, so I do want to preface this. We do not know how close they were to the residence last night. And it's my understanding that the shots were fired, this vehicle was driving by. That may or may not have even been the target. We don't know. The house is set back. We showed a little bit of file video there. The house is set back quite a ways. You saw the gate. You've got a guard gate there. But what I hear you saying is that the Secret Service now, in the climate that we're in, certainly after some problems at the White House with accesses and breaches there, but also just the climate that we're in, we know that the enemy is hunting us. I mean, we know that ISIS and Al-Qaeda, whatever these guys want to call themselves, we know that they're looking to target our military personnel, our high-profile assets. Right.
You know, you had Captain Chuck Nash on a little while ago, and I agree with the majority of things that Captain says, and I'm a big fan of his as well. I do disagree, though, with him in the way that he said that, you know, we're doing everything we can. I think we have everything that we need, but it's that we can't use it a lot of the times. And one of the biggest things when it comes to these types of incidents is building the relationship with the surrounding agencies. And that you saw.
He mentioned that. He said that's a problem.
It's a real problem. And I think that you saw it in D.C. when they had a woman who tried to crash the gate. You've seen it at White House when they've had a shooting before and they didn't even realize that the White House had been shot. This happened last year, you know, and in this case, you know, just knowing that this perpetrator was fleeing is not the same as surrounding units having standard operating procedures, and we can't always fault Secret Service fully. There has to be regulations, there has to be policies and standard operating procedures for the local and surrounding groups and how they work with Secret Service.
So tell me what's happening today, because I would imagine that, you know, even though we don't know all the particulars and what the target was and all that, or maybe this was just a crazy person driving down the street, we don't know.
That's normal.
But I would have to think, just having grown up military, that when something happens and it's near where a general is staying or a colonel like my dad before he retired, security gets heightened just in case. So what's happening today? What would be going on with the Secret Service?
Well, I'm glad you brought the military part, because here's the difference between the military and federal and local law enforcement.
Okay.
In the military, you forward think those, so you already have an idea who would be coming at you. Right? Whether it be a terrorist group, whether it be somebody who's going to try to access it because they don't like the military, whatever. With the Secret Service and local law enforcement, a lot of times you have a breakdown with forward-thinking things other than when they have route planning and so on and so forth. So with this case, they're probably scrambling to look at who it could be. They're trying to set up, you know, they're working together with local law enforcement to collect any video that might be in the area and any known chatter, because, you know, this may have been just a dry run, for instance, or it could have been somebody who's just mentally unstable.
Yeah. Well, and you're right with the military. I mean, we saw that crazy ISIS video, that 9-minute video that was put out less than a week ago, naming our military personnel in terms of those targets that they would want to hit. That's not the same thing as, I mean, our elected leaders are always targets, I guess you would say, in terms of what crazy people might do. Right.
You would think that this would be something that we're already ready for, just like Twitter. Twitter is an open source network. You know that there's a chance that somebody may come in and try to hack it, and they did, and everybody acted surprised by that. You have to realize and forward think who your enemy is and what they're going to do. We have the ability to do that.
Before I let you go, you hear a lot of criticism against the Secret Service. I did some special reporting a couple of years ago when they were having some problems with the prostitution scandal and so on and so forth. But there are some great things that these guys do. What do you think is their big challenge right now and where they need shoring up?
I think you know, having worked closely with the Secret Service before with the UN General Assembly and those types of events, you're going to find no better men and women that are out there guarding these officials. The problem, I think, with the Secret Service is you have two things. You have executives at the top that are incompetent, that have checked boxes to get to the top, like every other federal agency, it seems like. And then the other problem is you have, and this has always been my criticism of the Secret Service, you have very young people coming in who do not have military experience. And when it comes to guarding the president, I know that the Secret Service is the best at what they do. However, when you go through the military, you are trained, you have basic training that gives you that insight and that forward-thinking ability that I think they're missing.
Jonathan Gilliam, we took it right up to the end here to go into the commercial break because I wanted you to finish your thought. Those are two very interesting.
We're going to have to start having Security Sunday instead of Medical Sunday.
We're going to, yeah, there you go, and you'll have to come back. And we're coming right back. Stay close.